the crazy thing is I feel like a lot of people now feel like that's something that they kind of are like in a struggle with, especially with somebody like Lindsay, a white person who's now seeing these things and going, man, I've kind of felt this way, but like, why do I feel guilty about something that I like black people? I treat black people good. I treat them fairly. So now why do I all of a sudden feel this guilt? Welcome back to the 1204 podcast. This is episode 10. It's a very special episode, Mars.
Yes,
I am happy to have you back, Princess.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Lindsay, welcome back.
Hey, everyone.
You remember Lindsay from episode 1. Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday, and thank you for coming back, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Big 29 in the building.
Hey, don't tell everybody.
Mars,
What's
you
that?
brought some really, really special people in the building.
Yes, these are family right here. This is family.
Yeah, let us know who your family is.
So I have my good friend Will and his beautiful wife Tisha here today.
Will and Tisha.
Very thankful
nice
and excited to have them here. Today's going to be a good episode. I'm very excited to show you guys what we have in store for you guys today.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, how's everybody doing? Because, of course, what's going on in the world right now, everything's kind of like all over the place. So how have you guys been getting through this pandemic thing?
Well, first off, thank you for having us.
What's life like?
Thank you for having us. What's life like? Geez, between running a business and working and the COVID and raising 5 kids and maintaining a healthy marriage, it's been kind of bipolar, man.
Yeah,
I think we're all suffering from PTSD.
I could agree. I was just saying that.
Yeah, and I think with tensions rising so high right now, like I think having kids is even more challenging than just like
I want to put him out.
Yeah, I agree.
Like he's running the business and working. I'm raising 5 kids.
5 kids. What are the ages?
Oh, grown to baby.
It's 21.
Okay.
15.
Wow. 10.
Did he turn 10 or 11?
10. See, that's the problem. You got to it doesn't matter, right? It's like you
kids.
10, 7.
8 months old.
8 months. We got them in every stage of life. I want to put them
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's amazing. But you got a lot of help, right? You got a lot of helping hands around the house, no?
Yeah, her own hand.
When they want something.
There you go. When they want something.
We got to bribe them.
Well, for sure, you have a beautiful family. That's where when me and Mars we met up today and we were talking about you guys kind of just getting a feel for, who you guys are as people. And again, social media is a good way to, and she was showing me some really, really powerful things that you guys are doing with your kids. Can you tell me about that? I try to raise my children with good morals and respect, and I depend on my wife to initiate that, instill that in them. But are you referring to the video? Your DC trip? Yeah, let me be more specific.
So
your DC trip.
If we're going to skip to that, I just felt compelled for a while to take a trip to DC, and I didn't know if there were going to be any protests there during that time, but I took a chance. I was going to go with or without my wife. I just told her, like, I want to go. Couldn't find a babysitter, so I said, you know what, let's make it a family trip. And rented a car and rented a room and went down there. And
see, I didn't hear that portion of it.
Yeah, they did. They took the kids with them.
Oh yeah, the kids were with us.
Yeah.
Wow. And I was struggling.
The 3 younger ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was very, very, very.
I didn't want to go. I'll just put it. I understood why he wanted to go, but I didn't want to go.
But again,
fear of the unknown.
We were forced because we could not find a babysitter. So
kind of organically, it kind of just it had to be that way, right?
So I went from, wanting to be on the front lines of the peaceful protest. Let me make sure you guys know that I wanted to go over there and peacefully protest. To just taking the back seat because I had to make sure that my family was safe. So long story short, we get to DC and next day we wake up, go out there and we park far away from the Washington Monument where everything was going on. And little do you know, as we're walking towards the monument,
all the cop cars shutting down the street. We walked into the protest.
We walked into the protest.
Walked into it,
and
I had a panic attack.
I get goosebumps thinking about it right now because as I walk towards the crowd, I got the sense that it was so peaceful.
There was singing. There was a sound of unity,
and
that's what brought down my anxiety because it didn't look like the news. Go ahead.
Yeah, and as I walk by people, you just catch that spirit that they had a great time or they experienced something greater than what they expected.
I think that's pretty amazing that you guys had the chance to, take your kids and, put them through such an experience. I think it's very, how can I say that? Like, it's a very good learning thing for them, as far as when they get older. I remember growing up when 9/11 happened, that was a big deal for me growing up as a kid. And with everything that's going on right now in the world, I think it's very important for the kids to understand exactly what is going on. And the fact that you educate your kids to know exactly what's going on and the right from wrong is just amazing to me. We were going over the video. I was showing Ezra the one you did with your children. I literally got goosebumps. Yeah. And it spoke so much to me, the fact that your kids, especially your daughter, when she said that she gets scared when she sees police, like she didn't understand why, but she knew there was a reason that when you see police, you get scared.
She said, specifically, she said, I get a weird feeling.
Yeah, she gets a weird feeling. Yeah. Like if they're going to give me a ticket.
How old is
She's 7.
Mia Moore is 7 years old. She just turned 7.
So intelligent.
Very intelligent, though. Wise beyond her years.
Yeah,
now, what have you thought of the protest? Well, like, have you gone out? There's been a lot of stuff going on in Rochester, and you're a social worker, so I'm pretty sure you're like your plate's full, right?
It's interesting to be educated and to see what's going on, and also I just wanted to mention you bringing your kids there and you guys just seeing it yourselves. It's very humbling. I feel like your kids are going to remember that for a very long time. Right. And I think that that's great. But I haven't gone to any of the protests. Probably because I am trying to become more educated and process everything in my own way alone. But I've been kind of on the fence because as much as I would like to go and be a part of how moving that is, it is so moving to watch so many people on the internet together. Right. No matter what color, everybody is together and fighting for the same thing. And it's just so nice to watch, and I do want to be a part of that, but at the same time, I do worry about the extra stuff that has gone on, and that I don't want to be involved with that and the fear of that. So that's held me back a little bit.
Sure. Now, not to get because I try not to be too crazy with politics and all that stuff, right? But like a bigger question that I wanted to ask you was, and it's something that I was like thinking about, is where do you think we start in change, in actual change, and not just the protesting and everything that's going on? Like what do we do like from this day forward to see that this isn't like a trendy thing that's going on and that this is like real, Yeah,
I understand the question. Let's be very specific. And Lindsay, I'm with you. I don't want to. I didn't want to come and protest here in Rochester because I don't know. I just didn't feel comfortable coming here. Plus, I was working and all that. But it's very important to separate the peaceful protesters from the from the violent protesters.
Sure.
There's two different sections of people out there.
Right. Yeah.
And let me just say something right now. There's a big difference in protesting and rioting. Let's just say that right now. So if you were rioting and you think that you were seeking justice or you found some justice and destroying someone's hardworking business that they've had for years, you are absolutely wrong. You're wrong. Absolutely wrong.
But it's important to know the underlying issues with that. And I actually felt like you did until my wife woke me up, and I'll let her explain.
Essentially, and I get it, right? I as a business owner, right? My heart breaks for people who lost, everything that they worked for. A lot of them won't come back. If it was us, we would be in that same position where how the heck do we get this back, and probably couldn't. However, as a Black woman and coming from a Black family, you look at the what, right? The why, the rioting. But then as a Black person, I'm able to sit back and understand why. Right? Why and where is this coming from? And it doesn't justify it, but it brings us to a level of understanding. And even when everything happened, when I watched the video, the only stat I put up for a long time was when you don't know what you feel,
pray.
I had no idea what I felt watching the video, and I didn't get that. Like, there was an emotion that I couldn't put words to, and I'm like, what is this that I feel? What am I feeling? And then everything started happening, and I still didn't know how I felt about it. I understood why, right, where the passion was coming from, but I didn't understand how I felt and why I felt whatever this was that I was feeling. And when we went to DC, like I said, I didn't want to go because I'm still on the fence where I'm still trying to process. And it wasn't until the ride back, and I began to reflect, and I had an awakening, and what I learned with the rioting and the looting is not justifying it, but they all go hand in hand.
Right.
And the way I feel about it, it woke everybody up. The fires literally set a fire under the country, right? Because now everybody's like, whoa, wait a minute. What the heck is going on? And the more I began to reflect on the history and the fabric of the country, I had to really stop and think about the foundation of this country. And as a people, what happened? We had riots, right? We had these protests and these and mobs that came against us, and what burnt down our houses, burnt down our buildings. And not saying it justifies it, but there's something that's and that gets ingrained in you. And I came home and I started doing research. I had no idea about Tulsa, Oklahoma, and what happened there in the 20s. And a black boy got accused of something, and an angry white mob came to the neighborhoods and burned everything down. And it doesn't justify it, but it makes you truly understand the history and the fabric of the country. And as a black woman, it almost lifted the veil over my eyes. And I told my husband, I've been wrestling with the thoughts. Now, what do I do? Right. How do I become a part? And that's how you get it. As far as you said, how do we keep this from being just another moment in time? We all have to sit back and say, what can I do to push this change forward and keep the momentum going? Because I told my husband, I said, I feel like there's been a lullaby. America has begun to sing this lullaby and put us to sleep almost. And I'm guilty, right? Because I was one of those people where slavery is 400 years ago and we're past that.
And I can say that too. I sometimes, I sometimes say that I feel most people, when it comes to the situation, they're just too entitled, and I feel that a lot of Black people feel very entitled. And I get the whole slavery thing.
Do you?
I do get it.
No,
I do. I get the slavery. I do.
I'm curious.
I really do.
I
do. I get it. But when it comes from centuries ago, and then now that it's occurring again, it's a different understanding. And I'm from a different generation.
I'm so glad you brought that up,
So this is different for me to understand. I'm still learning, and I still need to be educated.
Yes.
You guys are educating me right now as you speak. I come from a different generation, so this is new to me.
Right.
I'm literally going through this step by step, just how me and her are. Step by step. This is all new. Your children are now going through this, so it's a new level. It's a new era.
Let me put things into perspective of my awakening. I'm 40 years old, 40 something. Anyways, I lived through the Rodney King era, where once the cops got acquitted, it was rioting, and I was a teenager. So now
Chaos.
I was a teenager out there in the streets throwing bottles, jumping people. I was part of that, and I'm not proud of that, but when I look at what's going on now, most of the people doing that stuff out there, and you can argue this, but it's a lot of youth and that aren't mentally prepared to deal with what's going on. So let me say this, right? So I was angry, just like you, about the rioting and looting. I got two very, very close friends that are business owners who serve the community right in the inner city. One who owns a restaurant, one owns a convenience store, right? And I remember I check on them, like, yo, what's going on? Like,
shout
you
out
good?
to Al.
Yo, shout out to Ray and Al. And they were, talking to me, and they were like, yo, I'm ready, man. I am strapped up.
And just like that, I still remember when I witnessed his and hers being robbed.
Right.
And he was one of the first people I thought of. I called him immediately, and I'm like, listen,
couldn't help but to
close
think about
down
them
the
first.
store immediately.
That was heartbreaking, man.
It was. So
because that's the hood, man. You don't do that.
Is where we go. So let me tell you. So once I saw that they were hitting up his and hers, and they were moving down Clinton Avenue, where where a lot of us grew up, I was scared. And now I started talking out loud, and I started posting, and I was posting some mean shit. Can I curse here?
No, you're fine.
You're
I
fine.
started posting some really nasty things without thinking, right? And I posted something once I saw the video about the I don't know if they were Asian or the white couple on the west side that got beat up by the 2x4s.
Yes.
I said something along the lines.
I don't care if you are a descendant of a slave. It was just, and I read it.
Listen to this though.
And I'm getting ready to go to bed.
Can I hear exact
Oh,
words
that's-
of what Will posted?
He took it down, so
Well,
I can't. But it was something like
along
it was,
the lines of you're not bringing any respect. I called them classless. I will admit that. I ain't got nothing to hide. I called them classless, and I said you're not honoring your ancestors, right? And she read that, and we're home
in the bed.
In
like
the
I'm
bed,
getting ready to roll over
she
and go to
read
sleep,
that,
and I was like, oh.
And all of a sudden, I felt like a coldness in my home. You know, when you're with somebody for a certain time, you know when they not feeling you right. So, all of a sudden, I'm scrolling through my feed, and I have it here, and I will never erase this. And she wrote, I hope you guys got 2 minutes. Violence is not the answer. This is my wife responding to me. She knew better than to have that conversation with me at that time because she knew that it wasn't going to be a healthy one.
And you guys are next to each other in bed?
And not only that, I posted because I knew he wasn't the only person that felt that way. So it wasn't just for him; it was for him and everybody else that liked it and loved it and
So let me
high-fived them on the post.
Let me tell you what she wrote. She wrote, violence is not the answer and it is not okay. What happened to that couple should have never happened. But let me say this. She addresses the black people. Dear black people, a lot of people are pained and affected by what is happening. Yes, this is affecting all races and nationalities. But let me also say this, America. Tread lightly on your words and understand this. I get goosebumps. People, this is the end. She addresses America. America, if you look in the mirror and don't see the reflection of a descendant of a slave, just understand that this pain hits a little different when you do.
Wow.
Those are facts.
I got
though.
goosebumps.
Chills, yeah.
Wow.
I encourage you to go to her
Wow.
Facebook page and read it for yourself because if you don't get the feeling that I had that moment,
I got goosebumps.
I woke the fuck up. I woke up. I started thinking about what it meant to be a black person and realizing that I can never feel that. I can never really understand what it feels to be a black man or a woman or child in this country.
And you know what the crazy thing is I feel like a lot of people now feel like that's something that they kind of are like in a struggle with, especially with somebody like Lindsay, a white person who's now seeing these things and going, man, I've kind of felt this way, but like, why do I feel guilty about something that I like black people? I treat black people good. I treat them fairly. So now why do I all of a sudden feel this guilt about like something that I had little to deal with? But that's the education of it. That's the humanity of it is where you at least try and put yourself right in a position where you're understanding now where it's coming from. Okay, I may not agree with the action.
Yeah,
I don't agree with people being hurt. I don't agree with people
promoting
losing anything. I'm not for it. I'm for positive vibes. I push that really heavily, but and there's a but now in caps, we all gotta do our history now.
The real history.
We do our real history, then we go, okay, no, I get it.
Let me put it in another
I get it.
light.
And I also want to say too, and when I wrote that, I didn't really. That was God, right? Because when I think about it now, and I'm doing all my research and stuff, this is now 400 years of trauma,
Right.
and that's what it is. These are young
PTSD.
black people and young black men and girls who don't even understand how to process the feelings that they're processed. Right, that's happening, and it's collectively as a people, you got 400 years of trauma,
and it's handed down from generation to generation. And if you really understood slavery, honey, and no offense, you're still young. If you understood what happened in slavery times, where families were split up,
and they were sold off,
and how
it was done
so
intentionally.
Deep.
Read the Willie Lynch
deep.
letter, and
So
it explains a lot. And what's crazy about it is in the letter he says, if you follow these things, beat the black man in front of his wife and his kids, take him away from his children,
Sodomize him in front of your kids.
Get the woman to submit in fear so that she teaches her young black son to be afraid. And he pretty much says, he gives him all these things. And he says, if you do it successfully, you will have them captive for 300 years at least.
Yeah, and just as that's being passed down to black people, it's similar on the white side.
Absolutely.
Because you have these teachings or this mindset or this mentality, negativity that's just like not, I mean, in some I'm going off of my own experiences. So it's not quite said, but it's like there and you feel awkward. And I remember as a kid being like confused.
Sure.
And like, I don't get that. You know what I mean? These are my friends. These are people that I like and I enjoy, and I don't.
You're taught
and
that.
I want to go to their house and not think that it's a big deal, you know, and you're taught that. So now that's generations and generations, just like you're saying, of the same thing that's going against each other. Yeah. And it is like, it's infuriating.
And I'm glad that you said that it's not said, but it's there.
Oh.
And that's what I had to
little
process.
Things or big things, you know, little looks or like, you know, or it's like flat out said. And I've had both experiences. And when it's flat out said, like, I get like, what the hell you're talking about? People that I care about. You're talking, you know, because I think of it as a specific person that is black or is of color. I think of that person. When you're saying something bad or negative, I think of that person. I don't think about everybody else.
Right.
So for every person, for me, that you hear the positivity come from and the kind of like, oh, you know what? I'm seeing things a little bit different now. You have the ignorance is still going to be out there, right?
Right.
And it will never die.
It will never die. It's not going to go away.
Right.
Never die.
So, and again, I don't get political. I'm not going to say names, but for me, it really comes down to like our leadership too.
Absolutely.
Because the rhetoric with who is our leader as of right now, it's kind of stoking the fire.
Let's call it
right?
what it is. We're talking about Trump.
Yeah, we're really talking about
things have changed
the divided
drastically.
A lit fire.
I don't feel like we are equal at all. I don't feel like we're equal as a nation. I feel like
I think what Ezra's trying to say is that when you have someone in the position of power, the highest form of power in this country, the highest political position, the one person that can unite the country, or at least try.
We're not
doing that.
I'm now, when I go through these articles and I'm reading, I'm looking for bare minimum. As far as like,
Can we get that?
As far as positivity coming from the highest office, the highest job in the world, really, right? So like, when the tweets come out and he's almost like passing all these conspiracy theories and nonsense, like I don't think facts exist in this person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But the following behind him is pretty strong, and it's going to boil down to
and they're very
one of
devoted
the most
towards him.
unprecedented elections like ever.
But let me tell you something from my experience of what I saw in DC that I've never seen before. I've been a voter since I've been 18. I do county elections. I do I do the national elections, and I'm part of that. I believe in that. I don't care if the Electoral College does elect that president ultimately, but my vote counts.
I'd like to thank you for saying that.
And
I'm going to squeeze in there now that as being a felon myself, there are things that we can do now to vote, to get to be able to be eligible to vote.
I frequently post the Monroe County voting registration link because I want people to wake up. Oddly enough,
it literally takes like 2 minutes to vote.
You
go in and you go out.
That's the one post that I post
so
that
easy.
does not gain any traction. But when I went to DC, I saw nothing but youth.
Young people.
We are motivated. This revolution is going to change the world. I promise you. We may lose or we may win the next election, but the fight
it's forever now, right? It feels that
it's
way.
Forever.
It feels that way.
Trust me.
It feels that way.
Trust me.
I feel like it's been taken to
it's a revolution. Guys.
It's a much higher level now. And what you see now are a lot of these big white corporations
giving in,
right? Going, you know what? fuck all that.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And that's exactly
You ain't
what
gonna
you're
come
saying.
burn down my shit. You know, even
Ezra,
if they're just doing it
you
for
hit it right on
for
the
the
nail.
look of it, for the aesthetic of it, they're still doing
them
it.
dollars
They're still
rolling.
doing.
But it's
Exactly.
okay. It's
Exactly.
okay because at least their message is being transcended
Absolutely.
Right.
throughout the world.
Well, it's
Right.
letting
That's
us
the
know
important
that
part.
the
And then it's
message
catching
is what
wildfire.
really
Yeah,
matters.
yeah,
Promote what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's catching fire. The entire world is on our side. When I say ours, I'm talking about the BLM movement and the equal rights movement.
I knew it was real, right? I'm scrolling through my feed, you know what I mean? Just looking up stuff, current events, staying in the know, you know? And it pops up that Lego pulled all their cop toys and Legos from shelves and then donated like $4 or $5 million to BLM.
I don't agree with that.
We're talking about corporations like this who usually would have no quiet as a mouse. You know, nah, I'm neutral. I
One
don't
thing
really
about
care
that
too much
too with
about
the whole
it.
cop situation, I have many friends that are
Yeah.
cops and that are cops in Rochester, and
You got
they're
friends. I
going
got a
through it
sister.
bad. They're going
There's-
through it hard right now. They have families
I
to
got
feed
a
as
sister
well.
who's a state trooper.
I-
You know,
and
we have
there's
good
another thing,
cops out
too.
here. Cops are not bad people.
Because we tend to be overly aggressive to cops in general, and we tend to
Because
assign
that's
them
how we've
all.
been
We tend to
raised.
assign them all the same motive. Every cop is out to get me.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, let's
if
talk-
the world would be a better place if there weren't any. And I don't.
But let's
I'm
talk
not
about,
all there.
Let's talk about the truth. Everybody, you know, you could say, you know, only 98% of the cops are good and 2% are bad. Guess what? Those 98% of cops, good cops, that keep their fucking mouth shut, you just increase that percentage
Right.
by 50%. Think about it. If you are a good person and you see something that's right in front of you that's going bad, if you don't say something, you don't do something that helps that person from getting beat up or something, you're part of that problem. These cops, I love cops, the good ones. But when they turn their back on injustices,
It's almost worse.
They turn their back
Yeah.
on us.
Yeah,
And
you
on
said it, you're
themselves,
setting
'cause
us
you take
back.
an oath.
You set us further back.
Y'all got to speak up. I'm talking to every black, Hispanic, and good white cop out there. You got to stand up. You got to stand against violence or unnecessary roughness, or what's it called? Overly aggressive tactics. Cut that shit out, man. We need you. We will respect you. Respect us.
Respect
Right.
us.
Don't turn your face.
That's it.
Don't turn your back on
That's
us.
Exactly.
it. Because I try not to get too high or too low on the fuck 12 thing. You know what I mean? Like I know people that are cops too, and they're just trying to bring home food and feed their families, like regular people who get up and go do jobs that don't put their life on the
And
line.
these cops
people
now
get
are
up-
waking up. Like,
Yeah.
am I gonna die today? Like, is someone gonna shoot me in the head today? You know, with all these protests and things like that. When they robbed Villa, I had witnessed it. Like, people were literally throwing rocks at these police officers that are just standing there trying to calm everything down.
And that's the ignorance of the entire thing.
Because not everyone is educated. Instead of, protesting in the right manner, everyone's just taking it to rioting.
Yeah,
and
but nobody knows what the right manner is.
Yeah,
Right.
no
They're
one
youth.
knows.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody's been
That's,
out.
Right.
Nobody-
that's
no-
the problem.
We're learning on the fly, too.
People want to be heard, and
Yeah.
that's why I try to tell people. Like I said, I don't condone it in any way, but we have to understand
We have to.
why it's happening and where it's coming from. Like I said, it's not excusing it, but you have people that have anger that's like, okay, y'all
Trauma.
keep going ahead and
Generational
peacefully
trauma.
protesting because it ain't changing nothing.
I agree.
I'm gonna go burn some stuff down, and they gotta listen. And I feel like you couldn't have one without the other. They have to listen.
You know
It
how
made
it's-
everybody stop and listen.
Let
and
me
say,
tell you
wait a minute.
Right. It was a necessary evil. I hate to say it, but these politicians would not have started this. The Democrats specifically would not have came up with this legislation for police reform had we not burned shit down. And I'm not saying that this is the way to go. But think about it. There's been protests. I remember being part of Trayvon Martin's protest.
Yeah.
There's been protests throughout.
Right.
But it
We've
isn't
been
until you
protesting
burn
for
shit down that
years.
people start paying attention.
When I seen that the banks were like all the windows were all broken, that's when I knew. I was like, yeah, shit is real. Like,
Don't take my
I was-
That's when I knew that. That's when I knew something was gonna happen.
Not at all. Not
Talk
at
to the
all.
people,
I genuinely appreciate you guys taking your time out. I know as parents, as business owners, you guys are busy. Mars, you're super busy yourself.
yes.
This being the last episode, it's kind of a big deal for me. You know what I mean? When I started this show, I really had great ideas for it. I had really like a passion for it, and it's even bigger now that I'm kind of wrapping this up and getting ready to get into season 2. So it's good to end it on this note. Ugh, can't talk. I'd like to thank all my guests for the season. G Coop, I see you. Dre Says, Victor Gomez, Justin, my producer Chris Kanye.
Shout out to D Will.
D Will. Shout out to you. We gonna link. Who else have we have? Mateen, you're out there
like
too.
his
I love you,
episodes.
my boy.
I heard his.
Dre Says has his own podcast. It's out on YouTube. My producer Chris Kanye has his own show.
Shout out to Chris.
Shout out to Chris. RockPodNet on Instagram. Mars World on Instagram. Lindsay, your Instagram.
Linz DeFeo.
Linz DeFeo on
Lindsay
Instagram.
says.
I am your Diet Cola Papa. You know who I am, Ezra Ray. Well, I thank you so much. You're literally one of the
I
smartest
appreciate you
people I've
guys
met
coming
this
out.
year.
I really do.
We're friends now.
Oh.
Tisha, we're friends now. Nah, you guys are more than welcome back. You guys are more
And
than welcome
Ezra,
back.
congratulations.
Yeah.
This is your last episode.
Congratulations.
And we're on to season 2.
Season
So
2.
stay
Season 2
tuned.
is going to be way bigger. We're going to
gonna
do a
come
lot of.
back, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely. You guys are more than welcome back. Thank you so
I'll
much
let
for
my wife
tuning
talk.
in. Subscribe on the YouTube. Follow me on Instagram.
1204 the
Holla at
podcast.
me. Spread
It's
love.
the movement.
Shout out
Black Lives
585.
Matter. Everybody matters.
Support
Like,
local
good.
business.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Woo!